Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship. The USS Defiant looked old and beaten up compared to the enemy ships around them. The alien ships were beautiful and shiny. They moved through space like dancers, their hulls sparkling with strange lights. Jake watched 12 enemy warships circle his vessel. They belonged to the Zephyrian Alliance, a group of aliens who thought they were better than everyone else. Their ships looked like they were made of crystal and light. Next to them, the USS Defiant looked like a piece of junk. "Look at that ugly human ship," came a voice over the radio. It was Admiral Zeth Carr, the leader of the alien fleet. His voice was full of hate and disgust. "It is made of cheap metal and has primitive weapons. How pathetic." The other aliens laughed. Their laughter filled the communication system like the sound of breaking glass. They thought humans were stupid and weak. They had been attacking human colonies for months, but they never fought directly. They just wanted to scare people and show how powerful they were. Lieutenant Amy Carter sat at the weapons station. Her hands were tight fists. She was angry at the way the aliens talked about her people. The young woman had trained for years to serve on this ship. Now she had to listen to these creatures mock everything she believed in. "They are scanning us again, Captain," said Chief Engineer Danny Rodriguez. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had worked on ships for 30 years. Third time in 1 hour. Jake nodded slowly. "Let them look. Sometimes the best way to hide is to look exactly like what your enemy expects." The USS Defiant had been built on Mars in secret. From the outside, it looked like humans had used old parts and outdated technology. The ship appeared to be humanity's desperate attempt to build something that could fight against the advanced aliens. But looks could be deceiving. Commander Lisa Hughes walked over to the captain's chair. She was Jake's second in command, a smart woman who had helped design the ship's real systems. "Sir, we have another message from the alien flagship. They say they will let us go if we abandon our colony ships." Jake's face got hard. Behind the USS Defiant, 3 huge ships carried 50,000 people. These civilians were looking for new homes among the stars. They had families, children, dreams of a better life. The Zephyrians had made it clear that humans were not welcome in this part of space. "Tell them no," Jake said. His voice was calm but firm. "And remind them that this is neutral space. According to galactic law, we have the right to be here." The answer came quickly. Admiral Zeth Carr's voice filled the bridge again. "The law is for civilized species, Captain Morrison. Your kind barely counts as intelligent life. We give you 1 hour to think about it. Then we will show you how useless your presence is here." The transmission ended. Jake looked around at his crew. Every person on the bridge looked worried but determined. They all knew the odds were bad. 12 advanced alien warships against 1 human vessel. The enemy ships could destroy entire planets. The USS Defiant was alone. "All hands, this is the captain," Jake announced over the ship's speakers. "In 1 hour, we are going to show these aliens what happens when they think humans are weak. Engineering, start all systems. Weapons, get ready for battle. This is why we train so hard." Down in the engine room, Danny Rodriguez began turning on systems that were not in any official records. These were the ship's real weapons and defenses. The USS Defiant was about to show its true nature. The alien ships moved into attack formation. They positioned themselves to get the best shots while staying safe from return fire. It was a perfect example of advanced space combat tactics, the kind of formation taught in military schools across the galaxy. "Sir," Amy Carter called out, "their main weapons are charging up. The energy readings are huge." Jake remained calm. "I see it. Danny, are we ready?" From deep in the ship, Danny's voice came through the speakers. All systems are working, Captain. The hiding systems are holding. Steady. On the view screen, the alien flagship's main gun began to glow. It was a planet-killer weapon designed to crack continents and boil oceans. Using it on a single ship was like using a bomb to kill a fly. But it sent a message about how much the aliens hated humans. "Your hour is up, Captain Morrison," Admiral Zethkar said. "We will make your death quick. Maybe other primitive species will learn from your example." The first attack came like lightning. Brilliant beams of plasma energy struck the USS Defiant's hull. The ship shook under the impact. Sections of the outer metal seemed to bend and burn. Emergency lights flashed across the hull. The ship looked like it was dying. "Direct hits to Sections 7 through 12, Amy reported, playing her part perfectly. "Hull breaks on multiple levels. We are losing air." Jake held onto his chair as the ship continued to shake. The USS Defiant's outer hull was really taking damage, but the show of weakness was on purpose. Under the fake outer armor was the ship's real protection, a special material that could absorb and redirect energy attacks. "Sir," Lisa called out, "they are moving in for the kill. The flagship is charging what looks like a planet-killer weapon." Through the main screen, they could see the alien flagship's huge cannon starting to glow with blue light. The weapon was meant to destroy worlds. Using it on one ship was not just overkill. It was showing off. "All ships stay back, Admiral," Zethkar told his fleet. The human ship might explode and damage nearby vessels with debris. Jake allowed himself a small smile. The aliens were too proud for their own good. "Danny, drop the fake systems. All hands, prepare for real combat." Deep inside the USS Defiant, the ship's true power source came online. The revolutionary reactor that had taken humanity's best scientists 5 years to build began sending energy to weapons that existed nowhere in the public files. The ship's fake chemical engines fell away, showing the gravity drive that had been hidden underneath. "Energy readings are changing," one of the alien officers reported with confusion. "The human ship, it is not what we thought." But it was. Too late. The USS Defiant was about to show its real face. The hour of pretending was over. Now came the hour of truth. The change in the USS Defiant was fast and shocking. The damaged outer hull that had been burned by alien weapons suddenly pulled back into the ship. Under it was a smooth, dark surface that seemed to eat light itself. The ship's shape changed as hidden weapon holes opened and secret sensor systems came out. "What in the void, ... Admiral Zethkar's voice cut off as his computers showed the massive energy readings now coming from the human ship. Captain Jake Morrison stood up from his chair. His calm face had not changed at all. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's show them what human engineering can do. Amy, turn on our main weapons." The weapons officer's fingers moved fast over her controls. "Quantum pulse cannons charged and ready, Captain." Targeting the flagship's main weapon. The USS Defiant's first shot was terrible to see. A focused beam of energy that played with matter at the smallest level hit the alien flagship's huge cannon, just as it was about to fire. The planet killer weapon did not just explode. It stopped existing, taking half of the flagship's front section with it. "Impossible," Admiral Zethkar gasped as his ship's emergency system screamed warnings. "No primitive species has such technology." Commander Lisa Hughes stepped forward. Her voice carried across the tactical network. "That's where you made your mistake, Admiral. You thought we were primitive because we chose to look that way." The alien fleet had been confident in their power just moments before. Now they faced an enemy that broke all their ideas about what was possible. The USS Defiant moved with impossible grace. Its gravity drive let it change direction and speed in ways that should have killed its crew. "Sir," Chief Engineer Danny. Rodriguez reported from the engine room. The protection systems are holding steady. We can push the drive to maximum without hurting the crew. Jake nodded. Do it. Show them what human creativity looks like when we stop holding back. The USS Defiant sped up to combat speed. It closed the distance to the alien fleet in seconds. The aliens' energy weapons, which had seemed so powerful before, now hit harmlessly against the ship's adaptive armor. The special hull material studied each attack and changed its properties in real time. It became more and more resistant to the alien plasma technology. All ships, focus fire on the human vessel, Admiral Zethkar commanded. His voice now carried fear. Maximum power to all weapons. The combined firepower of 11 remaining alien. Warships created a light show that could be seen from the colony ships at the edge of the system. For a moment, the USS Defiant disappeared completely within the brilliant display of energy. When the light faded, the human ship came out completely unharmed. Your turn, Jake said quietly. Amy Carter had been tracking all 12 enemy ships at the same time. Her targeting computer calculated firing solutions that would have been impossible for any known species. The USS Defiant's quantum pulse cannons could fire in multiple directions at once, each beam independently aimed and set. Firing all weapons, Amy announced that the counterattack was surgical in its precision. Each alien ship was hit in carefully chosen places. Their primary weapon systems, engine rooms, and command centers. The aliens had built their ships for beauty and efficiency. They never imagined they would face an enemy capable of such exact targeting. Within 30 seconds, the entire alien fleet was crippled. The aliens could not believe what had happened. Their most advanced technology had been defeated by a species they thought was barely smart enough to build fire. Admiral Zethkar stared at his damaged ship's displays, trying to understand how everything had gone so wrong. This cannot be real, he whispered. Our intelligence said that humans had just learned to travel faster than light. They should be hundreds of years behind us. But the evidence was right in front of him. His flagship was cut in half. His fleet was floating dead in space. And the human ship that had done this to them was completely undamaged. Admiral, came a voice from one of his captains, the human ship. It's not using any technology we understand. Our computers cannot even analyze their weapons. The truth was something the aliens could not understand. Humans had approached technology differently than every other species in the galaxy. While other races had focused on making things more powerful and efficient, humans had emphasized being able to adapt and innovate. Admiral Zethkar. Jake's voice filled the alien communication networks. This is Captain Morrison of the USS Defiant. I am prepared to accept your surrender. The silence that followed was deep and complete. In 5,000 years of alien military history, no admiral had ever been forced to surrender to what they considered a primitive species. The alien crews talked to each other in confusion and fear. They had been told that humans were weak and stupid. Their leaders had said that human technology was crude and useless. But the evidence before them told a different story. How is this possible? One alien captain asked. They destroyed our planet killer weapon like it was nothing. They can target individual ship parts without harming the crew. What kind of species are we dealing with? The answer was simple, but hard for the aliens to accept. They had spent thousands of years perfecting the same basic technologies. They had made them more elegant and efficient, but they had never really innovated. They had created a civilization based on making old ideas look prettier. Humans were different. While the aliens were perfecting plasma weapons, humans were learning to control matter at the quantum level. While the aliens were building faster ships, humans were developing drives that ignored normal physics. While the aliens were creating energy shields, Humans were inventing materials that could adapt to any attack. Your species has made a fundamental error, Jake continued. You have looked at human technology and dismissed it as primitive because it does not match your ideas of what advanced technology should look like. You see crude metal and assume inferiority. You never considered that we might be deliberately hiding our capabilities. Admiral Zethkar's breathing was heavy as he tried to process what was happening. His beautiful, elegant fleet had been destroyed by a single human ship that had looked like junk. Everything he had believed about the galaxy's power structure was wrong. The colony ships will continue to their destination, Jake announced. You will return to your space and report what happened here. And Admiral ... The next time you encounter a human vessel, you might want to think twice about your assumptions. The aliens had called the human warship useless. Now they knew how wrong they had been. The USS Defiant had not just defeated them. It had shown them that humans were not the primitive species they had assumed. As the alien fleet began to slowly retreat, their ships barely functional, the message was clear. Humanity had announced its presence among the stars. The galaxy would never be the same. The hour of deception was over. The hour of truth had begun. The alien fleet was in complete chaos. 11 of their most advanced warships now floated helplessly in space. Their weapons were destroyed, and their engines were offline. Emergency lights blinked across their hulls as repair teams tried to understand. What had just happened to them? Admiral Zethkar's flagship, the Ethereal Dawn, had suffered the worst damage. Half of its front section was simply gone, removed at the molecular level by the human quantum weapon. The Admiral was trapped on his bridge, his elegant command center now a mess of sparking computers and emergency barriers. This is impossible, he whispered, staring at the display that showed his fleet's complete defeat. Our intelligence said that humans had barely learned to travel between stars. They should be centuries behind us in technology. Captain Jake Morrison's voice filled the alien communication networks, calm and professional. Admiral Zethkar, this is Captain Morrison of the USS Defiant. I am prepared to accept your surrender. The silence that followed was profound. In 5,000 years of alien military history, no admiral had ever been forced to surrender to what they considered a primitive species. Commander Lisa Hughes watched the enemy communications, listening to the confused talk between the damaged ships. Sir, they are having trouble believing what just happened. Their technical officers are saying that our weapons are beyond their ability to study. Let them wonder, Jake replied. Ganny, what is our status? The chief engineer's voice came through clearly. All systems are perfect, Captain. The quantum reactor is working at 30% power, and our special armor is already fixing the minor surface damage from their first attack. We could fight another fleet this size without any problems. Lieutenant, Amy Carter looked up from her weapons station. Sir, I see movement from 3 of their ships. They are trying to get their engines working again. Jake nodded. Disable their engines permanently. Target carefully so we do not hurt anyone. The USS Defiant's weapons fired again, but this time with surgical precision that seemed to break the laws of physics. The quantum pulse beams passed through the alien ship's hulls without damaging the crew areas, targeting only the specific parts needed for movement. The alien ship's drives did not explode. They simply stopped working at the quantum level. By the ancestors, one of the alien captains transmitted, his voice filled with wonder. They can selectively destroy individual ship parts without harming the crew. How is such precision possible? The answer was something the aliens could not understand. Humanity had approached technology development differently than every other species in the galaxy. While other races had focused on raw power and efficiency, humans had emphasized adaptability and innovation. The USS Defiant represented the peak of humanity's greatest strength, the ability to think beyond normal limitations. Admiral Jake's voice cut through the alien communications. I am going to explain something to you. Your species has spent thousands of years perfecting the same basic technologies, making them more elegant and efficient. You have created a civilization based on technological stagnation, disguised as refinement. Admiral Zethkar's breathing was labored as he struggled to process the situation. What are you saying? I am saying that while you were perfecting plasma weapons, we were learning to manipulate matter at the quantum level. While you were building faster ships, we were developing drives that ignore normal physics. While you were creating energy shields, we were inventing materials that adapt to any attack. Commander Lisa Hughes added, every species in the galaxy has looked at human technology and dismissed it as primitive because it does not match their ideas of beauty. You see crude metal and assume inferiority. You never considered that we might be deliberately hiding our capabilities. The reality was beginning to sink in across the alien fleet. They had not just been defeated, they had been completely outclassed by a species they had considered barely worthy of attention. On the bridge of the USS Defiant, the crew watched as the alien ships tried desperately to restore basic functions. Their elegant vessels, once so proud and threatening, now looked like broken toys floating in space. Sir, Amy Carter reported, long-range sensors are picking up more ships approaching. Not aliens, they appear to be human vessels. Jake smiled. Reinforcements. Though I think we have the situation well in hand. The approaching ships were indeed human. 3 more vessels like the USS Defiant, though each one was slightly different in design. They had been waiting at the edge of the system, ready to help if needed. Now they served as a reminder to the aliens that the USS Defiant was not alone. Additional human ships detected, one of the alien tactical officers reported with growing fear. Energy signatures similar to the first vessel. Admiral Zethkar closed his eyes. If one human ship could destroy his entire fleet, what could 4 of them do? The mathematics of the situation were clear and terrifying. Admiral, Jake's voice continued, I want you to understand something important. We did not want this fight. We came here peacefully, with colonists looking for new homes. You chose to threaten us. You chose to attack us. What happened here today was your choice. The alien admiral opened his eyes and looked at the tactical display. His proud fleet, the finest vessels in the Zephyrian Alliance, had been reduced to floating scrap in less than an hour. And the human ship that had done this to them was completely undamaged. What do you want from us? He asked quietly. We want you to leave us alone, Jake replied. We want you to return to your space and tell your leaders what happened here. We want you to remember that humans are not the primitive species you thought we were. The USS Defiant began to move away from the alien fleet, heading toward the colony ships that had been waiting at the edge of the system. The 3 additional human warships took up escort positions, their presence a clear message about humanity's capabilities. Admiral, came a transmission from one of the alien ships. What do we tell the High Council? How do we explain this defeat? Admiral Zethkar looked at the human ships moving away from them. Their design was unlike anything in the galaxy, mixing apparent primitiveness with technology that seemed like magic. They had been hiding in plain sight, looking weak while being incredibly strong. We tell them the truth, he said finally. We tell them that we have gravely underestimated the human species. We tell them that humanity is not primitive. We tell them that we have made a terrible mistake. As the human ships disappeared into the distance, escorting the colony vessels too, their new home, Admiral Zethkar began to compose his report. It would be the most difficult message he had ever sent, but it was necessary. The galaxy needed to know that humanity was not what they had seemed, The age of underestimating humans was over. The age of respecting them had begun. The USS Defiant had revealed the truth about human capabilities. Now the galaxy would have to learn to see humanity in a completely different light. The aftermath of the USS Defiant's devastating attack left the alien fleet in complete confusion. 11 of their most advanced warships now drifted helplessly in space, their weapons destroyed and their engines offline. Emergency lights flickered across their hulls as repair teams struggled to understand what had just happened. Admiral Zethkar's flagship, the Ethereal Dawn, had suffered the most damage. Half of its front section was simply gone, removed at the molecular level by the human quantum weapon. The Admiral himself was trapped on his bridge, his elegant command center now a maze of sparking computers and emergency barriers. "This is impossible," he whispered, staring at the display that showed his fleet's complete defeat. "Our intelligence said that humans had barely learned to travel faster than light. They should be centuries behind us in technology." Captain Jake Morrison's voice filled the alien communication networks, calm and professional. "Admiral Zethkar, this is Captain Morrison of the USS Defiant. I am prepared to accept your surrender." The silence that followed was deep and complete. In 5,000 years of alien military history, no admiral had ever been forced to surrender to what they considered a primitive species. Commander Lisa Hughes monitored the enemy communications, listening to the confused chatter between the damaged ships. "Sir, they are having trouble believing what just happened. Their technical officers are reporting that our weapons technology is beyond their ability to analyze." "Let them wonder," Jake replied. "Danny, what is our status?" The chief engineer's voice came through clearly. "All systems are perfect, Captain. The quantum reactor is operating at 30% capacity, and our special armor is already repairing the minor surface damage from their initial attack. We could engage another fleet this size without any problems." Lieutenant Amy Carter looked up from her weapons station. "Sir, I am detecting movement from 3 of their ships. They are trying to restore engine power." Jake nodded. "Disable their engines permanently. Target carefully to avoid harming the crew." The USS Defiant's weapons fired again, but this time with surgical precision that seemed to break the laws of physics. The quantum pulse beams passed through the alien ship's hulls without damaging the crew compartments, targeting only the specific components needed for propulsion. The alien vessel's drives did not explode. They simply ceased to function at the quantum level. "By the ancestors," one of the alien captains transmitted, his voice filled with awe. "They can selectively destroy individual ship components without harming the crew. How is such precision possible?" The answer was something the aliens could not understand. Humanity had approached technological development differently than every other species in the galaxy. While other races had focused on raw power and efficiency, humans had emphasized adaptability and innovation. The USS Defiant represented the peak of humanity's greatest strength, the ability to think beyond normal limitations. "Admiral," Jake's voice cut through the alien communications network, "I am going to explain something to you. Your species has spent thousands of years perfecting the same basic technologies, making them more elegant and efficient. You have created a civilization based on technological stagnation disguised as refinement." Admiral Zethkar's breathing was heavy as he struggled to process the situation. What are you saying?" "I am saying that while you were perfecting plasma weapons, we were learning to manipulate matter at the quantum level." "While you were building faster ships, we were developing drives that ignore normal physics. While you were creating energy shields, we were inventing materials that adapt to any attack." Commander Lisa Hughes added, "Every species in the galaxy has looked at human technology and dismissed it as primitive because it does not match their ideas of beauty. You see crude metal and assume inferiority. You never considered that we might be deliberately hiding our capabilities. The reality was beginning to sink in across the alien fleet. They had not just been defeated. They had been completely outclassed by a species they had considered barely worthy of attention. The colony ships will continue to their destination, Jake announced. You will return to your space and report what happened here. And Admiral, the next time you encounter a human vessel, you might want to reconsider your assumptions. But the demonstration was not over. Jake had decided that the aliens needed to understand the full extent of human capabilities. The USS Defiant began to move through the disabled alien fleet, its sensors scanning each ship in detail. Sir, Amy Carter reported, I am reading the internal structure of their ships. Our sensors can see through their hull material like it is glass. Jake nodded. Show them what we can see. Transmit the scan data to their ships. The aliens watched in growing horror as detailed blueprints of their most advanced vessels appeared on their screens. The human sensors had penetrated their classified hull materials and mapped every corridor, every room, every critical system. Their most secret military technology was laid bare. Impossible, Admiral Zethkar gasped. Those hull materials are designed to block all known scanning methods. How can they see through them? Your hull materials are designed to block known scanning methods, Jake replied. We use methods that are not known to your species. The USS Defiant continued its demonstration. The ship's tractor beam reached out and gently lifted one of the smaller alien vessels, rotating it slowly in space. The aliens inside felt no effects from the manipulation, but they could see their ship being moved like a toy. We could have destroyed you all in the first few seconds, Jake continued. But we chose not to. We wanted you to understand that we are not the primitive species you thought we were. One of the alien captains found his voice. What ... what do you want from us? We want you to leave us alone, Jake replied. We want you to return to your space and tell your leaders what happened. Here. We want you to remember that humans are not what they appear to be. The USS Defiant released the alien ship and moved back to its original position. The demonstration was complete. The aliens had seen human technology that was beyond their understanding. They had witnessed precision that seemed impossible. They had been defeated without being destroyed. Admiral, came a transmission from one of the alien ships. What do we tell the High Council? How do we explain this defeat? Admiral Zethkar looked at the human ship that had humiliated his entire fleet. It looked so ordinary, so crude compared to his elegant vessels. But he now knew that appearances could be deceiving. We tell them the truth, he said finally. We tell them that we have gravely underestimated the human species. We tell them that humanity is not primitive. We tell them that we have made a terrible mistake. The alien admiral opened a communication channel. To the USS Defiant. Captain Morrison, I formally surrender my fleet to you. We acknowledge your superior technology and capabilities. Jake's response was immediate. Admiral, I do not want your surrender. I want your understanding. Take your ships and go home. Tell your people what you have learned here. Make sure they understand that humans are not to be underestimated. As the alien fleet began to slowly withdraw, their ships barely functional, the message was clear. The USS Defiant had not just won a battle. It had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had shown themselves to be far more advanced than anyone had imagined. The dominance was complete. The aliens had learned that calling a human warship useless was the last mistake they would ever make. 3 days after the battle, the USS Defiant escorted the colony ships to their destination. 3 beautiful worlds rich in resources and perfect for human settlement waited for them. The alien fleet had been allowed to limp back to their space. Their ships barely working, but their crews alive. Captain Jake Morrison stood in his ready room. looking at the reports from the battle. The fight had lasted less than an hour, but its effects would change the balance of power in this part of the galaxy forever. "Sir," Commander Lisa Hughes entered, carrying a data tablet. "We are receiving communications from 17 different species. Word of what happened here is spreading faster than we expected." Jake looked up from his reports. "What kind of communications?" "Everything from requests for diplomatic contact to offers of alliance. The Andromedans want to establish trade relations. The Centauri Republic is asking about our defensive capabilities. Even the aliens have sent a formal request for a ceasefire treaty." Through the view screen, Jake could see the colony ships beginning their descent to the surface of New Terra, the first of the 3 worlds humanity would claim. 50,000 civilians who had been facing possible death or exile were now preparing to build new lives among the stars. Lieutenant Amy Carter's voice came through the intercom. "Captain, we are receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command." Jake smiled. "Put it through." The holographic display turned on, showing Admiral Patricia Stone, the head of Earth's Deep Space Command. Her expression was a mixture of pride and concern. "Captain Morrison, congratulations on a successful mission. However, I need to discuss what you have done. The aliens have filed a formal complaint with the Galactic Council, claiming that humanity has been operating under false pretenses." "Let them complain," Jake replied. "We never lied about our capabilities. We simply chose not to advertise them." "Admiral." Stone nodded. "That is exactly what I told the Council. However, this changes everything. Every major power in the galaxy now knows that humanity is not the primitive species they assumed. We need to be prepared for the consequences." Chief Engineer Danny Rodriguez had joined the conversation from the engine room. "Ma'am, with respect, maybe it is time they learned that underestimating humans is a mistake. We have been playing defense for too long." The Admiral's expression became more serious. "Danny, I agree, but we need to be smart about this. The USS Defiant was our secret weapon, precisely because nobody saw it coming. That advantage is gone now." Commander Lisa Hughes stepped forward. "Admiral, perhaps that is not entirely a bad thing. The aliens were not the only species treating humans as second-class citizens. Maybe it is time we stopped hiding our abilities." Jake considered this. The USS Defiant had been built in secret, its true capabilities known only to a handful of people in Earth's government. It was designed to be humanity's ace in the hole, a weapon that could protect human interests when diplomacy failed. "Ma'am," Jake said finally, "I think Lisa is right. We cannot go back to pretending we are helpless. The galaxy has seen what we are capable of. Now we need to decide what kind of neighbors we want to be." Admiral Stone was quiet for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Agreed. Captain, I am authorizing you to make contact with any species that requests diplomatic relations. The USS Defiant is no longer humanity's secret. It is our ambassador." As the transmission ended, Jake looked out at the colony ships settling into their new home. The battle with the aliens had been about more than just protecting 50,000 civilians. It had been about humanity's place in the galaxy. "Sir," Amy Carter called from the bridge, "we are receiving another transmission. This one is from the Galactic Council themselves. They are requesting a formal audience." Jake smiled. "Tell them we will be happy to attend. It is time the galaxy learned that humanity is not going anywhere." Over the next few days, more messages arrived. Species that had never acknowledged human existence were now requesting meetings. Trade agreements were being proposed. Some species offered military alliances. Others simply wanted to know more about human technology. The USS Defiant had become the most famous ship in known space. News of its victory over the alien fleet had spread to every corner of the galaxy. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had announced their presence in the most dramatic way possible. "Captain, Lisa Hughes reported, "We are receiving a message from the alien home world. It appears to be from their High Council." Jake nodded. "Let me hear it." The transmission was formal and careful. "Captain Morrison, this is High Counselor Vexstar of the Zephyrian Alliance. We wish to formally apologize for our aggressive actions and request a meeting to discuss peaceful relations between our species." Jake looked at his crew. They had come so far from the moment when alien laughter had filled their communications. Now those same aliens were asking for peace. "Tell them we accept their apology," Jake said. "And yes, we will meet with them to discuss peaceful relations." The colony ships had successfully landed on New Terra. The first human settlements were being established. Children were playing in alien soil under alien stars. The future that had seemed so uncertain just days ago was now bright with possibility. "Sir," Danny Rodriguez called from engineering, "we are receiving a message from the Mars shipyards. They want to know if we need any repairs or upgrades." Jake laughed. "Tell them we are fine, but ask them to start building more ships like the USS Defiant. Something tells me we are going to need them." As the ship prepared for its next mission, Jake knew that this was just the beginning. The USS Defiant had proven that human ingenuity and determination could overcome any challenge. The galaxy would never again make the mistake of underestimating humanity. The species that had called the human warship useless had learned the hard way that appearances could be deceiving. Now, as word spread across the galaxy, every intelligent species would know that humans were not the primitive creatures they had appeared to be. The USS Defiant stood as a symbol of humanity's true potential. They had called the warship useless until it wiped them out. Now, the galaxy would have to learn to see humanity in a very different light. The age of human expansion among the stars had begun, and it had started with a single ship that had refused to back down when faced with impossible odds. The future belonged to humanity, and the galaxy was just beginning to understand what that meant.